Welcome in, everyone, to a deep dive into, well, not Spider-Man,
Right.
Tom Holland.
The man behind the mask?
Yeah, we're breaking down his recent conversation with Jay Shetty,
Oh, yeah.
author, former monk,
Podcast host extraordinaire.
the On Purpose podcast.
Yeah, and you know what? This interview really digs deep.
Mm.
It's not your typical celeb interview. Like,
Yeah.
we get to see kind of the raw, unfiltered Tom.
Okay, so remember that whole thing when he deleted Instagram?
Oh, yeah.
And, the media just went crazy?
Oh, absolutely. And it's a perfect example of how,
Mm-hmm.
we often confuse taking a step back
Yeah.
with, like, a meltdown.
Mm-hmm.
Tom was very clear about this.
Yeah.
This was a conscious choice to protect his mental well-being.
And he was very upfront about that.
Yeah.
He basically said, look, my mental health is my business.
Yeah,
Not like tabloid fodder,
totally.
but it's like what really stood out to me was his point about asking for help and how that's actually a strength, not a weakness.
Oh, it's a message that we need to hear more often.
Yeah.
And he even backed it up with a story from his childhood about getting help from a teacher,
Yeah.
showing that vulnerability can be a catalyst for growth at any age.
It's such a good reminder that help can come from unexpected places.
Right.
And just asking for it is self-awareness, not weakness.
For sure.
Speaking of learning and growth, Tom talked a lot about role models
Yeah.
and his admiration for his dad's resilience, especially in comedy.
Mm-hmm.
You know how unpredictable that is.
Oh, yeah.
He's really inspiring.
Totally.
He never saw his dad bring any negativity home.
Mm-hmm.
Just this unwavering positivity and work ethic.
Yeah, he even told this funny story about playing golf goals as kids,
Oh, yeah.
which, knowing Tom probably explains his love of golf now.
Right. And isn't it wild that
Yeah.
Tom and Jay both attended rugby schools and did ballet?
Ballet?
You've got a movie star and a monk
Mm-hmm.
from totally different worlds,
Seemingly.
but so much in common.
Yeah, that's wild.
And their last rugby matches were polar opposites.
Tell me about this.
Okay, so Tom's involved this brawl where a teammate knocked out a kid's dad,
Oh my gosh.
and Jay's ended with an injury that almost ended his career.
Oh, wow.
Huh.
Talk about contrasting experiences.
Totally. But Tom's draw towards athletes as role models is clear.
Yeah.
He admires their ability to just handle all that pressure,
Mm-hmm.
bounce back from setbacks,
Yeah.
achieve greatness,
Mhm.
which very much mirrors his own journey,
Right.
in the spotlight.
Totally.
And he even said you can be mentored by people you've never met.
Oh, wow.
He specifically cited his interest in historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X.
It really speaks to the power of learning from other people's journeys.
Yeah.
You don't need direct access to somebody to get wisdom and inspiration from their stories.
Okay, buckle up because this next part is pretty heavy.
Okay.
Tom's decision to quit drinking over a year before this interview,
Mm-hmm.
huge turning point for him.
It's remarkable because it started as this casual dry January thing,
Uh-huh.
but it turned into something so much deeper.
Yeah.
And the fact that he even found it so hard to resist,
Mm.
thinking about alcohol,
Yeah.
was a huge eye-opener for him.
Yeah.
It made him really question his relationship with it.
Totally. And he talked about waking up thinking about it, checking the clock until noon,
Oh.
waiting for that acceptable drinking hour,
Right.
and that fear he described
Yeah.
of realizing he might have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people can probably relate to that.
Oh, absolutely. And it's great that his mom also quit drinking around the same time.
Yeah.
Having that family support during a big lifestyle change,
Mm-hmm.
that's invaluable.
Yeah. And the positive impacts were huge for him.
Oh, yeah.
Better sleep,
Mhm.
mental clarity,
Mm,
emotional regulation,
Mhm.
improved physical health.
of course.
It's like he unlocked this whole new level of himself.
What I thought was really insightful was their conversation about finding higher tastes to replace, the lower ones.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, he's been sober for 17 years.
Yeah.
And he talked about replacing that urge with things that bring you genuine joy
Yeah.
and satisfaction, not just deprivation.
And Tom totally agreed,
Yeah.
emphasizing that it's not about cutting yourself off from enjoying things.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding healthier alternatives
Right.
that actually make you feel good.
Yeah. He even found this beer substitute
Oh, wow.
that has electrolytes
Okay.
for sustained energy.
Interesting.
So he's still getting that beer experience,
Right.
but in a way that actually supports his well-being.
That's awesome.
And he's found that he doesn't need alcohol to be social.
Yeah.
He actually enjoys being the designated driver these days.
Good for him.
It really shows that, like, our perceived needs can often be met in ways we never expect.
Totally. And he told this crazy story
Oh, yeah?
about a YouTube video he saw
Mm-hmm.
where this guy gets wasted, crashes his car,
Oh, my gosh.
wakes up and thinks he's been in a coma for 10 years
What?
because his friend staged it that way.
Wow.
Yeah. It's obviously a dramatization.
Yeah.
But it's a good reminder about the consequences of drunk driving.
Absolutely.
You know, throughout this whole interview,
Yeah.
I kept noticing this theme of authenticity.
Mm.
Like Tom's constantly looking for ways to stay grounded
Yeah.
and true to himself despite the pressures of fame.
Totally. He was very vocal about his love for London
Mm-hmm.
and the importance of having a home base and community outside of Hollywood.
Yeah.
And he talked about prioritizing family, friends, hobbies,
Right.
all the things that anchor him to who he is outside of the roles he plays.
It's like he created this counterbalance
Mm,
to the whirlwind of Hollywood,
totally.
which can be so seductive.
Yeah.
It takes a lot of effort to not get swept away by that.
Yeah.
And maintain your sense of self.
And he even admitted to feeling like a recluse sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
needing to step away from the spotlight.
Yeah. Recharge with loved ones.
Which is so important.
Totally.
Even the most outgoing, successful people
Mm-hmm.
need that time and space
Yeah.
to reconnect with themselves.
Oh, yeah. We all need that sanctuary.
Right.
But when they asked him when he feels most himself,
Yeah.
his answer was pretty simple.
I'm curious, what was it?
Golf.
Golf, really?
Yeah, he talked about how it's like the ultimate humbling experience.
Mm,
No matter how famous or rich you are,
right.
the game can still kick your butt.
Yeah, it's a great equalizer.
Yeah.
A way to disconnect from the pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Just be present.
And he even mentioned he doesn't play as well when people are watching,
Really?
which is funny considering his career.
Yeah, that is ironic.
And he's got a bit of a temper on the course.
Oh, no.
He's down to 9 clubs because he broke a few in frustration.
Oh, my gosh.
It's refreshing to see someone like Tom Holland,
Mm-hmm.
who seems to have it all figured out,
Right.
still struggle with those moments of,
Yeah.
vulnerability and like self-control.
It makes him more human.
Totally.
It's more relatable.
Yeah. Okay. Remember when he casually mentioned trying to recruit Kylian Mbappe for Tottenham?
Oh, yeah, that was hilarious.
Well, it gets even better.
Oh.
He bumped into Mbappe at the Ballon d'Or ceremony,
Really?
which, by the way, was part of his Spider-Man press tour.
Oh, of course it was.
And he decided to seize the moment.
Oh, my gosh. He just went for it.
He did. He totally went for it.
That's classic Tom.
And even though Mbappe declined,
Yeah.
Tom was like, hey, worth a shot.
Oh, that's great.
It's just like this mix of playful audacity
Mm-hmm.
and genuine admiration.
Yeah.
He clearly respects these athletes,
Right.
their talent, their dedication. Speaking of admiration,
Yeah.
when Jay asked him who he looks up to,
I'm curious.
his answer kind of caught me off guard.
What was it?
Athletes.
Really?
I know. I thought actors or directors.
Great.
But he explained that he admires their ability to handle this immense pressure
Mm-mm.
and perform solo. He's in awe of that level of responsibility
Mm.
and how they bounce back from losses.
It makes sense, though.
Mm-hmm.
With his earlier comments about resilience,
Yeah.
it seems like he's really drawn to people who can lose
Yeah.
and then come back even stronger.
Totally. He specifically mentioned Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer,
Mm.
the young Carlos Alcaraz,
Of course.
and then, of course, his love for Harry Kane
Yes.
is unwavering.
Mm-hmm.
Even though he knows Kane might thrive more on another team.
It's that classic fan struggle.
Yeah.
Wanting what's best for your team,
Mm-hmm.
but also wanting to see your favorite players succeed.
Yeah, and he even had good things to say about Jude Bellingham's move to Real Madrid.
Okay.
It's like he's a walking encyclopedia of sports knowledge.
I'm learning so much.
But it goes back to his point about being mentored by people you've never met.
Mm-hmm.
We can really draw inspiration and lessons from anyone's journey,
Totally.
even if it's in a different field. He talked about being fascinated by historical figures like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X,
Mm-hmm.
studying their lives,
Yeah.
their decisions,
Choices.
even the less glamorous moments.
It's a good reminder that real role models,
Yeah,
they aren't perfect. They're human.
totally.
It's about looking at the whole picture and learning from both the wins and the struggles.
Okay, ready for a rapid fire round?
Yeah, hit me with it.
Let's do these last 5 questions.
Okay, let's go.
All right, Tom. Best advice you've ever received?
Ooh, I love these.
He said, turn your nerves into excitement.
Ah, that's good.
Right. It's reframing that nervous energy into a positive force.
Totally.
Okay, worst advice.
Ooh, okay, this will be good.
Get this. Move to L.A., get a marijuana license, and buy a hot tub.
Wait, seriously?
Yeah.
Who told him that?
Mark Wahlberg.
Oh, wow.
Although Tom wasn't sure if it was actual advice.
Right.
Or just classic Mark Wahlberg.
Of course.
He didn't take it.
Probably a good choice. Although Hot Tub Tom Holland does have a nice ring to it.
It does. Okay, moving on.
Okay.
First thing you do every morning.
Mm-hmm.
Last thing you do every night.
I'm always curious about people's routines.
Yeah.
It shows what they prioritize.
His answer, make my bed.
Okay.
Both first and last thing.
I respect that.
Yeah.
It's simple, but it creates a sense of order.
Yeah, he did admit to checking his emails right before bed.
Yeah, we all have our vices.
Right.
Okay, what's next?
Something you're currently trying to learn.
I think I know this one.
You guessed it. Golf.
Golf.
Taking lessons. Says it's not going well. He talked about having to take a few steps back to improve his swing. It's a good reminder that even with natural talent,
Yeah,
mastering something new takes time and dedication.
for sure.
Last question.
Okay.
If you could create one law everyone had to follow,
Okay.
what would it be?
Ooh, that's a good one.
He said life school.
Life school. What's that?
He wishes there was a school dedicated to teaching things like emotional mastery, empathy, vulnerability, compassion, non-judgment.
Yeah.
He thinks that would be a much better foundation for society than just focusing on academics and career prep.
It's like a more holistic approach to education.
Yeah.
Prioritizing emotional intelligence and social responsibility alongside, typical subjects.
Exactly. And he even mentioned wanting to see schools teach practical life skills.
Okay.
Like basic health, CPR, first aid, creating safe spaces for young people to talk about their struggles.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
It's a world where asking for help isn't a bad thing, but celebrated as a sign of strength, self-awareness,
Totally.
where emotional well-being is just as important as grades.
Okay, ready for one more surprising fact?
Hit me.
Remember that whale encounter?
Oh, yeah.
Well, Tom confessed that, even years later. Just thinking about it makes his heart race.
Wow. It must have been profound.
And he made this really insightful point
Yeah.
about how these encounters with nature, whether it's a whale, a gorilla,
Yeah.
they force you to be completely present
It's true.
in the moment.
They make you confront your own mortality and your place in this vast web of life.
He even compared it to that feeling of being in the cave with Jay,
Oh, wow.
where the silence and darkness create this surrender
Yeah.
and heightened self-awareness.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
How different experiences like that, a whale, a cave, can evoke similar feelings of awe and presence.
Totally. It's like they tap into something primal within us, this deep connection to the natural world.
Totally.
Tom was definitely intrigued by the cave, but admitted he's not sure he's ready for that level of sensory deprivation.
Not for everybody.
He's all about nature,
Yeah,
but pitch black darkness might be pushing it.
that's fair.
But Jay emphasized that the point is to disconnect from distractions and connect with your inner voice.
Right.
It's about creating space for introspection and self-discovery. Speaking of self-discovery,
Yeah.
Tom talked about taking a break from acting, which of course got spun into this whole narrative about him needing to escape Hollywood.
Oh, of course.
And to be fair, the timing with the writer's strike didn't help.
No, not at all.
But he clarified that taking a break was always the plan.
Okay.
After filming The Crowded Room, it was about reclaiming some normalcy,
Yeah.
spending time with loved ones,
Right.
experiencing life outside of the film set.
Totally.
He even joked about having to catch up on adulting tasks,
Like what?
like paying bills,
Okay.
taking out the trash, things they don't teach you in acting school.
No, they don't.
It's easy to lose sight of those everyday things when you're living in that fast-paced world of Hollywood.
Totally.
It's like he needed that time
Yeah.
to reconnect with the simple things, to ground himself.
Yeah. Amidst the whirlwind of his career.
And Jay's experience touring for his book really resonated with Tom.
Yeah.
Finishing a 40-city world tour
Wow.
in 80 days is no joke.
No.
It's physically and emotionally demanding.
Yeah.
And it made him realize why so many musicians need to take breaks or even cancel tours.
It's a good reminder.
Yeah.
Even the most successful people have limits.
Totally.
It's not about weakness.
Mm-hmm.
It's about knowing your needs.
Yeah.
And prioritizing your well-being.
Tom, who's been working since he was a child,
Right.
completely gets that need for balance.
Yeah.
He's had to learn the hard way how to navigate fame while staying true to himself.
Right.
He's seen friends lose themselves in Hollywood,
Yeah.
caught up in the hype.
The attention.
It's a constant struggle, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
How do you stay grounded when the world's constantly telling you you're special
Yeah.
or different?
It takes so much effort.
To maintain that normalcy
Yeah.
and not let the industry define you.
And Tom seems to be doing a good job of that.
Yeah.
He intentionally creates a life outside of work, prioritizing his relationship, family, friends, staying away from those flashy Hollywood events unless absolutely necessary.
It's all about setting boundaries, protecting your energy.
Totally.
It's so easy to get swept up in that world, lose sight of what matters.
And he was especially adamant about keeping his relationship private, calling it the most sacred thing in his life.
Which in this day and age,
Yeah.
with social media and constant scrutiny,
Totally.
that's a pretty bold stance. It shows a real commitment to protecting what makes him happy.
And you know what else struck me?
What's that?
Tom's fascination with how athletes handle pressure. He talked about Tyson Fury's comeback,
Oh, yeah.
how he'd love to see Anthony Joshua reclaim his champion status.
It's so interesting how he's inspired.
Yeah.
by people outside of his field.
He's drawn to that resilience, that ability to just rise above,
Yeah.
come back stronger. And he sees it in athletes like Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer, the young Carlos Alcaraz.
He even compared Erling Haaland to Ivan Drago from Rocky V.
He did.
This goal-scoring machine built in a lab.
Totally.
And then, of course, there's his love for Harry Kane.
Of course.
Undying.
Yeah, he knows Kane might be better off playing for another team,
Right.
but he can't help but root for him wherever he ends up.
It's that unwavering loyalty,
Yeah.
even when it's heartbreaking.
And you know, it all circles back to that question of authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
Tom seems to be constantly looking for what's real.
Yeah.
Whether it's nature,
Mm-hmm.
genuine connections, a
Right.
raw grit and determination of athletes,
I love
then that search for authenticity extends even to his hobbies.
Okay.
Remember how he talked about wanting to find a camera angle?
Where there's nothing man-made in sight.
Right.
No telephone poles, no buildings.
Yeah.
Just pure nature.
It's like he's trying to capture
Yeah.
untouched beauty, strip away the artificial,
Yeah.
and connect with something primal.
And true.
And it brings us back to his love of golf. When Jay asked him, when do you feel most yourself?
Yeah.
His answer, pretty simple,
What was it?
when he's playing good golf.
Which, if you think about it,
Yeah.
makes total sense.
Yeah.
Golf is his way to disconnect from the pressure,
Right.
be present,
Yeah.
challenge himself outside of his Hollywood persona.
And he even admitted to struggling when he plays badly.
Yeah.
He said he has a temper. He's broken a few clubs.
Oh my gosh.
It's another reminder that Tom Holland,
Yeah.
who seems to have it all together, is still human.
Right.
He gets frustrated.
Yeah.
He makes mistakes.
We all do.
And he's not afraid to show that vulnerability.
And that's what makes him so relatable. Totally.
And I think that's where we see the connection to the theme of this whole deep dive.
Yeah.
Finding what's real in a world that often feels fake.
Totally. It's about stripping away
Yeah.
expectations, external validation, connecting with what brings you joy,
Right.
fulfillment,
Yeah.
whether it's nature, relationships, passions.
And sometimes that means making tough choices, like
Yeah.
stepping back from social media, giving up something you thought you needed.
Yeah.
It's about being honest with yourself, putting your well-being first,
Yeah.
even if it means going against the grain.
It's about defining success on your own terms.
Yeah, not by society's standards.
And it's about embracing the journey with all its ups and downs.
Yes.
Knowing that true growth comes from both
Absolutely.
the triumphs and the stumbles.
Right, the good and the bad.
Okay, ready for a quick detour back to sports?
I am always down for some sports talk. Remember how we discussed his attempt to recruit Mbappe
Oh, yeah.
for Tottenham? Well, apparently that's not the only team he's tried to bolster.
Oh, really?
He also reached out to Harry Kane,
Oh, wow.
but not for Tottenham.
Okay.
He advised Kane to join Bayern Munich.
Wow. That's a bold move.
It is.
Followed by.
Tom thinks Bayern Munich offers a better chance for Kane to win trophies.
Okay.
and reach his potential.
Interesting. So he's not just a blind fan.
Yeah.
He's willing to look past his loyalty and acknowledge what's best for the players.
Exactly.
His players.
And it shows his passion for the sport, even if it means sometimes rooting against his team.
It's that ability to see the big picture, appreciate talent and success, even when it's outside your own circle.
Totally. And it relates back to his point about finding inspiration from people you've never met.
Right.
It's about recognizing excellence.
Yeah.
Learning from it, regardless of where it comes from.
Absolutely, and that's a powerful lesson for all of us.
Okay. Ready to shift gears again.
Oh, yeah. Bring it on.
Let's talk about memorable experiences.
Okay.
Tom shared this incredible story about encountering a whale.
Oh, yes. Tell me about this.
While freediving with his brother.
Okay.
So picture this. They're out in the ocean, and this massive whale just emerges.
Wow, I can only imagine.
Beneath them.
Yeah.
He said for a split second, he thought, this is it. This is how it ends.
Oh, my gosh.
But then this calm washed over him.
Really?
He just knew instinctively that the whale wasn't going to hurt him.
That's amazing.
It's like an intuitive understanding beyond language.
Yeah.
A connection between two beings from different worlds.
Yeah.
He described the whale swimming up to them about 10 meters below and just observing.
Oh, wow.
Then it rolled onto its back.
Really?
And tilted its head like it was trying to get a better look.
It's moments like these that remind us about the power and mystery of nature. We're so used to being in control, surrounded by the familiar.
Right.
But then you have an encounter like this, and it shifts everything.
And after the whale swam away,
Yeah.
Tom said he couldn't speak for 3 hours.
Wow.
He had this massive adrenaline dump
Yeah.
and basically fell asleep right there on the boat.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Your whole system's on overload from the sensory experience
Totally.
and the emotional intensity.
And as he was telling the story,
Yeah.
you could just feel how present he was. All those worries and anxieties just faded away.
Nature has a way of doing that, stripping away the noise, bringing you right to the here and now.
And he even connected it back to that feeling of being in the cave with Jay.
Yeah.
Where the silence and darkness create this surrender and heightened self-awareness.
It's so interesting
It is.
how these different experiences, whale, cave, can evoke those same feelings.
Right.
Awe and presence.
It's like they tap into something primal.
Totally.
That deep connection to the natural world.
Yeah.
Calm was intrigued by the cave, but said he wasn't.
I'm sure he's ready for that level of sensory deprivation. Like he's all about nature.
Yeah.
But pitch black darkness, that might be too much.
That's not for everyone.
Right. But Jay really emphasized that the whole point is to disconnect from all those distractions and connect with your inner voice.
Yeah. Creating that space for introspection, self-discovery.
Exactly.
Speaking of self-discovery, Tom opened up about taking a break from acting. Which, of course, got spun into this whole thing about him needing to escape Hollywood.
Right. Which, I mean, with the writer's strike and all,
it didn't help.
The timing wasn't great.
But he clarified that taking a break was always part of the plan.
Okay.
After filming The Crowded Room, it was about reclaiming some normalcy.
Yeah.
You know, spending time with loved ones, experiencing life outside of film set.
Totally.
He even joked about having to catch up on adulting tasks.
Oh, like what?
Like paying bills.
Okay.
Taking out the trash.
Right, the glamorous stuff.
Things they don't exactly teach you in acting school.
No, they don't.
It's easy to lose sight of those everyday things.
Totally.
When you're living in that fast-paced world of Hollywood.
Yeah, you need that time to reconnect with the simple things.
Yeah, to ground yourself.
Right, amidst all the craziness.
And Jay's experience touring for his book really resonated with Tom.
Yeah.
Finishing a 40-city world tour in 80 days is no joke.
That's intense.
Yeah, it's physically and emotionally demanding. And it made him realize why so many musicians need to take breaks.
Right.
Or even cancel tours.
It's a good reminder that even the most successful people have limits.
Totally. It's not about weakness.
Right.
It's about recognizing your needs, prioritizing your well-being. Tom, who's been working since he was a child, completely understands that need for balance.
It makes sense.
Yeah. He's had to learn the hard way how to navigate fame while staying true to himself.
Which is hard.
It is.
especially in that world.
He's seen friends lose themselves in Hollywood, caught up in the hype and attention.
It's a constant struggle.
Yeah, how do you stay grounded when everyone's telling you you're special?
Right.
You're different.
It takes effort.
It does.
To maintain that sense of normalcy.
Yeah, and not let the industry define you. And Tom seems to be doing a pretty good job at that.
Yeah, he's very intentional.
Yeah. He creates a life outside of work, prioritizing his relationship, family, friends.
Yeah.
Staying away from those flashy Hollywood events, unless he absolutely has to be there.
It's all about boundaries.
It is.
Protecting your energy.
Yeah, it's so easy to get swept up in that world.
It is.
Lose sight of what matters.
Okay.
And he was very adamant about keeping his relationship private, calling it the most sacred thing in his life.
Which is a big deal.
It is.
Especially with social media and all that.
Totally. It shows a real commitment to protecting what makes him happy. And you know what else struck me?
What's that?
Tom's fascination with how athletes handle pressure.
Yeah, he talked about that a lot.
He did. He talked about Tyson Fury's comeback, how he'd love to see Anthony Joshua reclaim his title.
It's interesting how he's drawn to people
Yeah.
outside of his field.
He's drawn to that resilience, that ability to rise above adversity.
Right, and come back stronger.
And he sees it in athletes like Novak Djokovic, Roger Federer,
Yeah.
young Carlos Alcaraz.
He even compared Erling Holland to Ivan Drago.
He did.
From Rocky the Faith. Like a goal-scoring machine built in a lab.
And then, of course, there's his love for Harry Kane.
Of course.
Unwavering. He knows Kane might be better off playing for another team.
Right, but he can't help but root for him.
You can't, wherever he ends up.
It's that fan loyalty.
It is.
Even when it hurts.
Yeah, and, you know, it all circles back to authenticity. Tom's constantly searching for what's real.
It seems like it.
Whether it's nature, genuine connections,
Yeah.
or the raw grit and determination of athletes.
I love that.
And that search for authenticity extends to his hobbies.
Okay.
Remember how he talked about wanting to find that camera angle
Yeah.
where there's nothing man-made in sight?
Right, like no telephone poles, no buildings.
Just pure, unadulterated nature.
Yeah, he wants to capture that untouched beauty.
Yeah, strip away the artificial, connect with something primal and true.
It makes sense.
It does, and it brings us back to his love of golf. When Jay asked him, when do you feel most yourself?
Yeah.
His answer was surprisingly simple.
What was it?
When he's playing good golf.
Oh, wow. Which makes total sense.
It does.
Golf is his way to disconnect from all the pressure.
Yeah.
Be present in the moment.
Right.
Challenge himself outside of his Hollywood persona.
And he even admitted to struggling when he plays badly.
Yeah.
Said he has a bit of a temper.
Oh, no.
Broken a few clubs in frustration.
Oh, my gosh.
It's another reminder that even Tom Holland, who seemingly has it all figured out, is still human.
Right.
He gets frustrated. He makes mistakes.
We all do.
And he's not afraid to show that vulnerability.
And that's what makes him so relatable.
Absolutely.
And I think that's where we see the connection to the theme of this whole deep dive. Finding what's real in a world that often feels artificial.
Totally. It's about stripping away those layers, expectations, external validation, connecting with what brings you joy.
Right.
Fulfillment, whether it's spending time in nature, nurturing your relationships, or pursuing a passion that challenges you.
And sometimes that means making those tough choices.
It does.
Like stepping back from social media, giving up something you thought you needed.
Absolutely. It's about being honest with yourself.
Right.
Prioritizing your well-being, even if it means going against the grain.
It's about defining success on your own terms.
Yeah.
Not by what society says.
Totally. And it's about embracing the journey.
Yeah.
With all its ups and downs.
For sure.
Knowing that true growth comes from both the triumphs and the stumbles.
Yeah, the good and the bad.
Okay, let's wrap up this deep dive with some key takeaways.
Okay, let's do it.
Tom's journey reminds us that taking care of our mental health isn't selfish.
Right.
It's essential.
It is.
It's about being proactive, setting boundaries, seeking help when we need it.
And it's about finding those authentic connections with ourselves and with others, whether it's through relationships, nature, passions.
Yeah.
It's about those experiences that ground us and make us feel truly alive. And it's about learning from those around us, even the ones we haven't met. You know, Tom's admiration for athletes, historical figures, even his own dad, shows that inspiration can come from anywhere.
Yeah, he's a big believer in learning from other people's journeys, observing their resilience, their dedication, their ability to overcome challenges.
It's like he's constantly looking for those little nuggets of wisdom that can help him on his own path.
Yeah. And speaking of journeys, Calm's decision-making process is fascinating.
How so?
He tends to rely on instinct, gut feelings, which is a stark contrast to Jay's more analytical approach.
Right, Jay, with his monk background, he's got this whole framework for assessing opportunities based on like 3 modes of action. Ignorance, which is fear-based, passion, which is results-driven, and goodness, which is aligned with values.
Interesting.
So it's a very structured, deliberate approach.
Whereas Tom is more about trusting his intuition, that inner voice that guides him towards what feels right.
Like an internal compass.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's interesting because he mentioned his mom has a similar ability to judge character intuitively.
Really?
Maybe it's a family trait.
Could be.
But you know what's funny? Even though they have these different approaches, they both ended up in similar places. They both value authenticity. They seek out those meaningful experiences. And they both get the importance of staying grounded.
Totally. It's like there are many paths to the same destination.
Right. It's not about finding the right way. It's about finding what works for you.
Yeah. And trusting your process. Yeah. And ultimately, I think that's Tom's message. Be true to yourself. Prioritize your well-being.
Yeah.
Don't be afraid to ask for help.
Such an important message.
It is, especially in today's world.
Yeah, it can feel so overwhelming.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the mind of Tom Holland, I'm left with a sense of hope.
Yeah.
Inspiration.
Me too.
It's refreshing to see someone in the spotlight embrace vulnerability, champion mental health, advocate for a more compassionate world.
And it's a good reminder that we all have the power to create that world, starting with ourselves, by prioritizing our well-being, finding those authentic connections, embracing this crazy, beautiful journey of life.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope it's given you some food for thought and maybe even inspired you to explore your own path to authenticity and fulfillment.
It's to finding what's real.
Until next time.
Yeah.
Keep seeking, keep growing.
Keep diving deep.